There's a good chance that the Gibbons era is the best era for me, writing wise. I think it's absolutely amazing, but I've not watched it 1,000 times like the other stuff. So there's nowhere near as many quotes for me. But every episode of this time just got me and blew me away. And all the characters, Lolly had a Fopé's character, their interactions were constantly great. The arc of sidekick Simon and just his shoulder, his weird neck movements and stuff were just, there was so much subtle brilliance. When Alan would go up the steps and they were slightly different, they were slightly too far apart for him to step. Just, there was so much. It's flawless. So I find it really hard to choose or define between the eras. It's rare to have a character that has grown up with the audience in that way and evolved and changed and not had to be Bart Simpson at school still, has grown with us. Yeah, I love it. What about you, Stu?
I love this time. I think it's up there for me, and I love the Pip mentioned Lolly, and I love the dynamic between them, because it's almost the side of Alan that you don't see before, because he doesn't really snap with her, and he just wants her to like him, and it's just the fact that he's constantly trying to kind of get her on side. And she's horrific. Like, she just literally bats back everything, anything he says. And I just like the fact that he doesn't give up. He's relentless in trying to kind of win Lolly over, and I love that.
And just all his little pre-film segments that they cut to were just consistently brilliant. Just his face when the woman is washing her hands, showing him how to wash her hands, and him just staring. Oh no, we shouldn't.
Yeah,
it's brilliant.
So with this time, were you both kind of on it, watching it as it went out with both series?
Yeah,
do you think?
it's. I think we discussed this. It surprised us that a lot of people didn't seem to know that there was new Partridge. I don't know if it just wasn't advertised enough or getting out there. But there's numerous people in our friends group who will quote "I'm Alan Partridge," or have quoted that with us for years, who we'd put in that same group, amazing Partridge tonight, and they'd be like, "Oh, is there new? Like, what's going on?" It was a weird one. It seemed to go under the radar.
This time,
somewhat.
series 1 and series 2, or just series new Partridge, meaning?
I think it was a series 2 that I'm specifically referencing here. So it's weird. I don't know if they caught series 1, but then series 2 just came back. Maybe series 1 had more around it because it's the return of Alan, and then series 2 was just series 2. So it seemed to. I mean, there was a global pandemic on that people might have been distracted by. I don't know. I don't know if they were catching.
But then you should be on a Friday night. It's fine.
Exactly. What's wrong with you?
But it's quite rare now that sort of big statement, television is television or entertainment is a weekly thing. It's quite rare these days. Obviously, everything. I mean, Disney are kind of doing it. They're not really they're putting things out episodically, but a majority of content these days is just like bang,
here
you go,
in one go.
Here's 6 episodes, off you go.
And I don't think that's even a kind of blanket BBC iPlayer thing. Some new comedies come out and they'll drop all 6 episodes like on that first day. But with something like Alan, it was literally going week by week, and I think. There was perhaps even a decision for them to make about they could have done it either way, so they could have allowed it to be there for binge watching.
I'm glad they did it episodic, because listening to Oast House, it was quite an intense listening to them back to back to back, because I did have all of them at the same time. I wanted to listen to them as soon as possible. I'm glad there was that kind of spacing out, because. Being with Alan in a condensed period of time can get quite, a bit much, shall we say.
I mean, it did mean I did immediate rewatches.
That's what I was going to say.
Every episode I watched
right.
before, I watched at least another time before the next week's came round. And if I'd binged, it might have been, I'll rewatch that some point down the line. Every episode I watched at least twice.
You mentioned the stairs earlier, and I know that we generally catch up in the week, and I've been like, "Do you watch Alan?" And it was like, and we both watched it twice. And you'd be like, did you spot when he walked up the stairs?
Yeah,
and I was like,
yeah.
I've only watched that one once, and I watched it again, and it was like just having that kind of, like you say, if they dropped them all in one, you would have binged it and probably not took that time to sort of watch the, episode 3 again before episode 4, which was one of the really lovely things about having that kind of time. You'd go back and you rewatch it and you would see different things. And like when Pip went, just watch him do the little walk, and I was like, this is absolute gold.
Again, it shows the level of obsession. I remember one week my partner was round and watching it with me, and she felt like she couldn't breathe because I was so focused. I was paying so much attention to any conversation she tried to have or saying. We were like, no, because with all of those, that whole cast, there's so many small details in there that you're like, I need to just pay absolute attention and get the most joy out of this. It's just crazy.
Yeah, and that's something we've talked about a lot when we've covered. I think this time specifically that it is a very rewarding rewatch, and I think you watch it a second time, even a third time, and you will still be spotting things. I think they're always like a lot of the jokes are multi-layered, but then I think they're physically multi-layered. Like there's often something happening in the background that you might miss first time. Like I think it might be episode 2 of the first series when one of the people in the audience falls off the top of the stage. So where they're all seated, like the raked seating. Yeah. And I remember when we were talking about that, some people had spotted it and some people had no idea it happened. Whereas it made me laugh out loud the first time I saw it. But you can easily miss those kind of more slapsticky sort of gags in that show.
I missed one in series 2. There's a bit where when Simon Farnaby's character comes back to the studio, he's throwing things into the crowd. Alan throws a mug. And you don't see where it lands, but you see in the next shot there's a guy in the audience holding his head because obviously it's hit him in the head. And I hadn't spotted that, so it's just like
I actually think we have to give credit to. I think a listener pointed that out. I think all 4 of us had actually missed it, and then you went back and you go, "Fucking hell, that is absolutely genius!" And it is a blink and you'll miss it sight gag as well. Amazing. Yeah.